Social Justice Goblin. Welcome to the backyard. Oh, we don't have the bright Bailey light. Okay, so recently, Jim Cornette turned me on to NWA. They did a TV taping in Georgia last, I think a week ago or something, and they started releasing the studio episodes, and it was filmed in the studio. And see, now studio wrestling, the studio wrestling I saw, okay, thinking about my studio wrestling background, I had heard about it, read it in the Abner mags and stuff, and I had seen a little of it, but, the WWE kind of had a studio wrestling setup with WWE Superstars. That was kind of a studio setup, but it didn't have the spontaneity, because the studio wrestling that I saw growing up was Glow, of all things. Glow. Yeah, Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. The Netflix series? I've seen the original Glow. I used to love it. I thought it was the third season with Jackie Stallone as a manager, and there was a woman that just was unstoppable. Monster heel. She was just incredible. She can't even walk anymore. And, I mean, it was studio wrestling. Craziness would happen. Fights would break out for random reasons. Terrible wrestling, but no one cared. Because it was it was the spontaneity of watching it, just the chaos unfurl as the crowd that is into it reacts. Because, you see, studio wrestling, WCW did a program called Thunder, which was studio wrestling, or Power Plant, or something like, not Power Plant was their school, but they had a studio wrestling show that they would do. And it was filmed in Disney. And it was terrible. Because, it ends up just being the employees and whatever random tourist they could just grab, and, the crowd wasn't into it. Studio wrestling, you gotta have a crowd that's into it, and are just losing their collective minds over what's going on around them. They're there for reaction. And NWA, this new one, it really captured that feeling of what I imagined studio wrestling would be, based upon the few reference points I have, because I don't have an extensive tape library like a lot of wrestling historians do, and have studied all the matches, and have an in-depth knowledge of the history of what studio wrestling looks like. But I sure as heck know those guys when I hear them. And this is I think Jim Cornette put it best. It's it's retro. It's retro wrestling. Like retro video games, it's retro 80s style, my generation's wrestling that we grew up with. Because it still has kind of that WWE formula, but it's even more unscripted. Everything's scripted, but there's just the chaos of what's going on in the room. Leaving the guy in the coffin during a bomb threat. Just in a crowd that just eats it with a spoon. It's amazing. And, there's squash matches, there's, everything that we grew up with, because we always knew in the studio shows, oh God, it's just going to be squash matches, when are we going to get to see the two superstars go at it, and then all of a sudden, boom, they're going at it. Oh my word, is Jake the Snake going at Rick Rude? Whoa, did he just, and then you're like, I want to see that pay-per-view where they blow off the heat. So I'm waiting for NWA. I'm not sure what NWA's game is, but it's one of those federations you can't discount. It's got money. It's got a backer who's fairly well off. They're not rushing into things, and they're just getting better at what they're doing. I mean, you can see they basically got Turner people to do some of the filming. you know, and, you know, you can see the camera crews, they'll get better with time because, as Cornette put it best, an experienced camera crew now all of a sudden filming wrestling, but they're bringing in experts who know how to film studio wrestling, these old farts, and they're building a retro wrestling federation, and it's so awesome. You gotta check it out. NWA, Storm. I was with the Storm. Like, did someone say, "Oh, we like Thunder because it sounds explosive, so we're gonna call it Storm"? I'm like, yeah. Then you have a wrestler named Storm, so you're like, Storm. Where the heck is Landstorm? But it's incredible. It's incredible. And I can't wait to see them. Like, I don't know where they're going to go next. You know, like, are they going to have arena shows? Where, you know, or are they just going to do studio for a while and build their people up? And then, you know, it's going to be one of those underground wrestling movements that was birthed off the internet and came out of nowhere. Because everyone's focused on WWE versus AEW. But no one's paying attention to my dog Little Pockets. No. Paying attention to that little underdog that is playing the long game. So, we'll see. Because it definitely will bring in relapse fans of my age generation. And I will share that stuff with my kids. And actually my grandkids.